Okay then gang, so the next action we're going to make is one to update the habits. Now you might be thinking, in what way do we ever need to update the habit? But think about it, for each habit we have a completions property where we add completion dates to it, and we also have a streak property which is how many consecutive days you've completed the habit for. Now these updates are going to eventually be triggered when you click on this input right here to check it. When that happens, we'll be adding a new date to the completion array and also adding one to the streak value. Then we need to save those changes to the database as well as update the habit in the store state. So in this lesson, we'll be making a generic update action to save any changes or updates to Firestore and then also to the store state. Then in the next lesson, we'll be making another action whose primary function will be to toggle the completion of a habit when you check or uncheck the box, and it will make use of this generic update action we're about to make. Alright, so let's make this action right here. It's an async action, which I'm going to call update habit like so. And we're going to pass in two arguments into this function. Now, the first argument will be the ID of the document we want to update. And the second argument would be an object with the updates we want to apply. So the object might look something like this, with just these two things inside it, or just one of them. And then we update those fields in the document. Alright then, so what do we need to do inside this function? Well, first of all, we need the db value, so we can say const and then $db is equal to use Nuxt store, like so. Oops, not DevTools, use Nuxt app, sorry, not store. And then we need to actually go out to Firestore and get a document reference. So we've seen how to do that. We can get a document reference like this thing right here. So let me copy that and paste it in here. And then after we've done that, we need to update that document in Firestore. Now, the way we do that is by using a function called update.doc. So let's import that up here, update.doc, like so. And then down here, we can just say await update.doc and invoke that function. This takes in two arguments. First of all, the reference of the documents, so docref. And then secondly, any updates that we want to apply, which is an object with those properties inside it. So we can just pass in the updates object like this. And that's pretty much all there is to it now for updating in Firestore. Okay, so now we're saving any updates to the document in Firestore, but we also need to update the habit within the store state as well. So first up, we need to find that habit within the habits array. To do that, we'll say const index is equal to this.habits. And then we're going to use the find index method on that habits array. And what this method does is fire a function for each value in the habits array, which I'm making right here. And that function gets access to the habit for each iteration. Inside the function, we're going to return a check to see if the current habit ID is equal to the ID we want to perform an update to. Now, when this statement is true, then this find index method returns the index of the value in the array that the statement is true for. So in our case, when the IDs match, okay? And now we have the index of the habit in the habits array for the habit that we want to update. So now we need to actually update it. But before we do that, I want to do a little if check to make sure the index is not equal to -1 before we make the change. Because if it is equal to -1, then it means the habit couldn't be found in the array. And in that case, we don't need to perform the update, right? So this find index method returns -1 as the index when it can't find the element, okay? But if it's not -1, then we're going to fire this code block right here where we can then update the habit. So right here, we can say this.habits, then square brackets, and then the index, and that grabs the habit, right? And then we set that equal to a new object where we spread the current values of the habit by saying ... this.habits, and then in square brackets, the index again, so the current habit we're updating. So all the current values inside the habit are then re-added to this new object. Then we can take the updates object and we can spread those properties inside the new object as well. And whatever properties are inside this updates object, they will overwrite the properties already on the habit right here. The ones not in the updates object won't be affected. All right, cool. So now we're updating the local store state as well. So then we've made this action and it's very much a generic update action, and it doesn't really care what the updates are. We've not specified any particular fields like the streak or the completions or anything like that need to be in this update. However, in the next lesson, we'll be making another action to toggle the habit completion. And in that action, we will call this update action to update some properties.